make things appear or disappear is just with the hide or show functions. So for instance, we have this scene here, right? And we already have it so that when the player is near the area, events happen. So I'm just going to make a dialog box scene. And this is where you really want to start looking at the green nodes. Green nodes are for user interface, and I'm going to show you more about them next week. But what you can do is just sort of, I'll create like a user interface that is a dialog box. So I'll attach it. This is my box, right? But this could also be your NPC. This could just be your person here. And I'll just sort of have like a panel is a good one. Specifically, a panel container keeps its children inside of the area of it. So this is just going to be like a box, right? And I can kind of like move this box around. With the UI nodes, you can either give them different sort of like anchor points. So where did it go though? Where is it? I'm going to give the container a label as a child. And I'll just give it text like, hello, you are talking to me. I'm going to zoom in here. And so we have like this label with this panel. That looks okay, but maybe I want it to be like, I see, because it's a child of this node. It sort of depends on like, right, do you want your dialogue to be like near the person or like at the bottom of the screen, right? You know how like in classic video games, like sometimes a speech bubble pops up near them and other times it's like a big rectangle at the bottom of the screen. Do you have one look that you're going for?
Yeah, bottom of the screen.
Bottom of the screen, okay. So then if you want that, you need to sort of separate it, right? What's happening right now is it's kind of inheriting the position from the player. So what you can do is, I'm going to create a new node called a canvas layer. This is just kind of like a separate visual layer that is separate from the 2D instance. So this is not inheriting the position of it, right? Like I can move this guy around and it'll still be here, right? So this is just like a new kind of drawing layer that you can draw on top of. And then you might just want something like a panel and then a label, right? A panel, you can give it a style box by giving it like a new style box, either with a texture. So if you have like a speech bubble texture, you can put that in. Or if you just have like a blank style box, you can do like a regular, we'll just do like a boring white style box. But I'll give it like a border. I'll make it black. I'll make the border thick. 8. That's too big. 4. I'll make the border rounded. 4. And then with this particular thing, right, we can just sort of say, like, let's put it in the bottom third of the screen, and that's probably pretty good. And the label itself, we need to give it a style. So I'll give it some settings. I'll make the font nice and big, 32. I'll make the text black. Okay. And then this is kind of okay. You know, you can kind of continue to fiddle with it and stuff. But maybe you'll just call this like dialog box, right? That's not how you spell box. I'll call this like text. And then what I'll do is I'll just make it invisible. But then maybe when the player enters the area, right, I'll just say if the player is, if the body that enters the area is called player, then I will show the dialog box. So I just say $dialogbox.show. And I think that'll work, right? So now I can just walk over to it, and then the dialog pops up. And then maybe you want the dialog, then you just need to figure out what makes the dialog go away, right? So is it, if the dialog goes away when I leave the area, you could say, we could use this signal. When the body exits, and I'll connect it to the box, and then I'll take the same thing, and I'll say like, if it's the player, then I will hide the dialog. Right? Now, let's say that we have... Hello, you're talking to me, right? Cool? So let's now say that like maybe we want to have the player say several things to a person, right? Yeah, if you want to have a conversation, we need to introduce a new data type, which is called an array. An array is like a list of things. So you can have multiple things in a row, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new data type called an array, and I'll call this like, I'll export this variable so that I can edit it from the editor. Export var. I'll call this dialog, and I'll say that this is going to be a, I'm going to make, so I'm doing this thing where I'm typing the variable. I'm sort of saying what type of data we want it to be. So in order to do that, you can say colon, and then you say array. And then I want this to be an array of strings, of like text. Okay, so this is going to be an array of strings. And what's nice about that is over here in the dialog thing, I now have this little interface, and I can add an element, and I can say like hello. And this is my first line, and this will be my second line. And second line, I'll say like how are you doing? And this will be my third line. I'm having a good day. I'm having a good day. Let's be optimistic. Day. A good day. I'm having a good day. Great, that's fine. And you can sort of stretch this out to make it bigger, right? So this is like a list of things that are going to get said in a row. And so if I were to just print out this array, right, you'll see that like, you'll see if I were to print the array, the dialog array, right? When I run this scene now, you'll see there's this whole list, right? You'll see this is the syntax for an array. So an array always has these square brackets, and then it's like the first element of the array, comma, the second element, comma, the third element, and so on. And in order to access any members of that, you just need to say like, you can say dialog dot, you could get like the first one, I'm sorry. You just kind of want to say dialog bracket and then the number, the index of the thing. So this will be the first line, and indexes start at 0. I sort of haven't talked about this stuff yet because it's more stuff to learn, but now's the time to learn it. So this is going to print out the first line and the second line, right? Because we're getting the first element of the array, which is hello. Then we're getting the second element of the array, which is how are you doing? Okay, so if we want to make like a thing that advances the dialogue, what we can do is in the process function, we can sort of have like a variable that's like, we can say like variable equals like which line we're on, basically, like which part of the conversation we're in. And we're going to set that equal to 0. And then in the process function, we can say if input dot is action just pressed, and then again, right, you can use any mapped action that you've created. I'll just use the I guess I'll make a new action really quickly. Input, new action, I'll say like interact, right? Maybe we want to like interact with this person. So I'll add this and I'll make this equal to E. So now whenever I press E, I'm going to do this interact action, okay? So if we're interacting, let's go ahead and increase the line. We're going to increase this line number. So we'll say which line plus equals 1. And then let's change the text of the dialog box to that line, right? Yeah, and I'm going to actually start this at -1, so that way when we start out, and we first interact with it, we'll trigger the first line because we'll go from -1 to 0, and that'll get us the first element of this array. So when I interact, I'm going to change the number of line that we're supposed to see, and then you can say dialog box dot, slash, because we're trying to get to this node, right? So it's dialog box slash panel container slash text, and then we want to set the text property of that to the element of the array that we should now see. So we say dialog bracket, and then we say which line. And what we're doing here is we're sort of saying, what's nice about sort of these brackets is they allow you to sort of, right, we go and we get the value of this variable, and then we insert it here to look it up, right? This is a lot, but the way this all works is, right, we have this, let's just run it now. We have this little person, right? We walk to the text, then we can press E, and we see the first line, the second line, and the third line. Cool? Then when we get to the fourth line, it gets confused because we don't have a fourth line. So then you might need to say, like, if which line is greater than the size of the script, so we would say dialog dot size. If it's greater than that, then we're going to hide the dialog box. We'll say dialog box dot hide, and we'll also probably just reset which line to 0, or we'll reset it to -1. Otherwise, we can do this. And so now we have that classic little thing where we can sort of loop through the dialogue, I think, where we can go over to it, right? It pops up, we can press E, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, nuts. If it is probably greater than or equal to size, because indices start at 0. 3, 4, and it goes away, and then you come back, and you can kind of start over again. Cool? Yeah. That's kind of complicated, but the short answer is it's all right here. And also, I think I did successfully stream this, so this will be